Hey guys, Alex here with Armadillo Armament, and today we're going to be discussing the Surefire Warcomp, one of my favorite muzzle devices on the planet, and why it may make sense for your rifle build. Before we jump into that, I partnered with Red Pawn Shop. If you use code Armadillo, you'll get 5% off your order. I'll get a small kickback. He makes really cool patches of armadillos with quad nods and MCXs like so. Please feel free to support the channel. He will be planting a tree and removing a pound of junk from the ocean for every item in that order. You're not only helping me, you're helping the planet. All right, so this is my MCX 11.5 upper, and I haven't done very much rifle content on the channel recently, so I figured it would be a good enough time to highlight one of my favorite products. That is going to be the Surefire Warcomp, shown right here. Now, my MCX has gone through quite a bit of iterations. The original MCX came with a 3-prong flash hider, SIG's 3-prong flash hider. Surefire also makes a 3-prong that this is based off of. However, the Warcomp is a little bit different and does have some advantages over that a traditional 3-prong flash hider. But what does a flash hider do? A 3-prong flash hider is very, very good at mitigating flash. If you don't have a suppressor, a 3-prong flash hider, or if you don't need a suppressor, a 3-prong flash hider is incredibly good at just kind of reducing that overall flash signature for things like night vision, or for just not blasting your buddies next to you. Take a look at this Roland Special that I placed here for a reason. These comps right here and this these channels are going to blast upwards and then to the left and the right, and your friends are absolutely going to hate you. A 3-prong is going to completely mitigate that. However, the Warcomp does have a special trick up its sleeves, and that is going to be these 6 ports right here and these 6 ports right here. What the Warcomp does is it not only provides a very good signature reduction element with its 3 prongs, so under night vision it is going to work significantly better than obviously like a bare muzzle. Even better than a A2, which we will be speaking about, but also it does offer recoil reduction qualities. And I didn't envision this rifle to be suppressed when I originally got it. I wanted it to be a shorter rifle. I will be getting this suppressed in the future, but that led me to be getting the Surefire Warcomp. And since then, I have put roughly 10,000 rounds downrange with this. So I feel that I'm finally qualified to speak on it. Now, the Warcomp does have quite an interesting install process. As you can see here, there are shims, these little bright silver, you can hopefully see on the camera. You will need to time this, which is very unique. The Warcomp does have vertical porting right here, but it also has ports to the right of the muzzle device, and that's very important. When you are pulling this into your shoulder, because I am a righty, it is going to redirect gases upwards and also redirect gases to the right. So instead of having to worry about your, let's say, your dot movement under recoil, with a bare muzzle, it's really going to go kind of everywhere. Now, at the end of the day, guys, we're using 5.56. It's not going to have too much recoil. However, you will find that with a muzzle brake like so, that has a little bit more porting to the left and the right, it is going to keep it significantly more stable. I do have a good example of that right here in the form of this ASR muzzle brake. Because all of this porting is to the left and the right, and this is very much intended to be suppressed, there are no vertical portings whatsoever. It is going to make the recoil incredibly vertical, right? It is going to completely remove the side-to-side recoil. Now, the Surefire Warcomp does things a little bit differently. Instead, it is going to have a little bit of vertical porting and then a little bit of right porting depending on how you time it. Now, that is important because it is going to slightly remove that horizontal recoil and then slightly improve the vertical recoil. Surefire does make a muzzle brake, and that muzzle brake is fantastic for suppressed use. It does count as a pseudo-sacrificial blast baffle. However, it is not going to impact the vertical recoil whatsoever and is going to be extremely, extremely gassy for all your friends that are nearby. So I wouldn't recommend that if you are just using this on a generalist rifle. This right here is instead going to help with that kind of signature reduction. It's not going to be blasting your friends. However, it is also going to have a small aid in, once again, that vertical and keeping everything just a little bit more tight, right? It's not going to make it so when your dot is moving under recoil, instead of, and I'll give a little demonstration for you here, instead of the dot going vertical and then maybe a tiny bit left and right, it is just going to go completely vertical. In fact, I find that the Warcomp really does completely eliminate recoil on this system. And obviously throughout this video, I am going to be having additional videos on the screen that hopefully show that. My MCX absolutely has zero recoil with this attachment. Once again, guys, we are shooting 5.56, but if we can make our recoil a little bit more manageable or a little bit more predictable, then I want to take advantage of that. Now, there are some downsides to the Warcomp. The Warcomp, first of all, it's not going to have as good of a flash reduction as a standard 3-prong. A standard 3-prong is going to be marginally better for suppressor use, and for a couple reasons we'll get into. But when you are shooting suppressed, you are going to get slightly better performance because of these blast kind of baffles, once again, are directing gas. So you will see a couple more sparks, a couple more, or a little bit more light coming out from the barrel, but that's really a non-issue. Gen 3 tubes do have auto-gating technology, and I find that the Warcomp under nods really has no problems whatsoever, and I don't really have any reason to really change it. I will be getting this suppressed, which I'll be speaking on, but overall the Warcomp, if you are looking for a muzzle device that really isn't intended to be suppressed, and you just want a good shooting muzzle device that does have recoil defeating qualities without stepping up to a muzzle brake that is incredibly gassy and is going to make everyone hate being around you, the Warcomp is a great choice. Now, why else wouldn't you want the Warcomp? Well, we're going back to suppress use. Because of these ports right here, and obviously on the right, Pew Science has a great write-up on this, and Surefire also does not recommend that you use the Warcomp with a suppressor. Now, an RC2 will perfectly interface on this Warcomp, and I will be putting a video on the screen right now showing this shooting with a Warcomp. And let me be a little bit more specific. It's not that Surefire says that this is a terrible choice for a suppressor. They just clearly state that a muzzle brake, like this LMT's right here, is going to aid in suppressor use. This is an ASR device, and I will be potentially moving my MCX to this in the future so I can use a hybrid can. Now, because it doesn't create a full labyrinth seal, there will be a little bit more gas leakage inside the suppressor. However, once again, from that video I just showed you, it works perfectly fine. There are many people, think of like Lucas from T-Rex Arms, that he will say, you know, I know that it's not recommended to use a Warcomp with a suppressor, but I put tens of thousands of rounds with a RC2 on a Warcomp and it works perfectly adequately. So don't listen to them. If you want to buy a Warcomp because you want a very good recoil reduction, but also 3-prong flash mitigation muzzle device, and you also want to potentially use it suppressed, this is a great choice. I would say the Warcomp, if you have an RC2 lying around, I would, if your rifle is going to be 100% suppressed, obviously I would recommend you move to a 3 or a 4-prong, or particularly the muzzle brake. Where I think the Warcomp really shines is if you have a rifle that isn't suppressed very often, but you want to have the option to suppress it every once in a while. That is where the Warcomp comes in. Once again, I do find that the Warcomp really is probably my favorite generalist muzzle device on the planet, because taking a look at this right here, the A2 flash hider. The A2 is a fantastic and extremely cheap muzzle device. You can buy these things for $5. And it does this actually isn't an A2, but it's pretty close. It's a birdcage. This does a fantastic job of mitigating flash. It's also incredibly cheap, it's very lightweight, and it's very short. If you have a rifle that has an A2, stay with the A2. If you just want that device, not suppression, but the blast attenuation, right? If you don't want to be dealing with muzzle brake downfalls, right? But if you're looking for a muzzle device that offers you a little bit of extra performance over a standard 3-prong, or once again, you are a competition shooter, but you don't want to deal with incredibly gassy brakes like that ASR brake in this KKM comp, the Warcomp really is a good middle ground. Because of that, whenever people ask me, hey, what's a good muzzle device I should look into, and I'm not interested in a suppressor, I immediately go to the Warcomp. This has been tested overseas. It has seen hundreds and probably millions of rounds from people that actually, go places and do cool guy shit. And Surefire is just known for having some of the best warranties and some of the best just, products on the planet. I'm very much a Surefire apologist, and I try to keep things to Surefire if I can, because I know they take care of you. So for all those reasons, I really recommend the Warcomp. And hopefully during the duration of this video, you have seen videos that really show you the recoil reduction qualities of this. When I do put this side by side with my friend's MCX Spear LT, and him just having a 3-prong, you will clearly see the recoil benefits of the Warcomp. And once again, I highly recommend it after my roughly 10,000 rounds I've put through this system. Well, that's the end of the video, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I will have some really cool videos in the future about some Holosun products. Keep it real, and I'll catch you in the next one.